Hey, I'm Cauthonluck, a classic WoW speedrunner. Today I'm really excited to share with you guys some of my Shaman leveling route that was able to reach level 15 on the stress test faster than any other class. Here in part 1 we'll be covering 1 to 10, and why Shamans may be the fastest levelers in the game in the early stages. The first thing we do is grab these first two quests in town and set our auto loot function in the interface menu. You don't want to mess with any other settings right now, you just want to get out here and start killing Planestriders as quick as possible. The majority of Shaman leveling will be using a two-handed staff and doing a lot of melee damage, but for these first couple levels out here, we're mostly just going to be lightning bolt spamming to kill mobs. It'll take 3 lightning bolts to kill a level 1 Planestrider and 4 for a level 2. Go ahead and do this water pitcher quest out here where you're in the area, and then just keep going further and further out until you find Planestriders. It might be a little bit crowded, but you should be easily able to find enough to finish this task. You just keep going further to the east or the northwest or even behind town. It'll take a little bit longer when it's crowded, but it's not too bad. I turn in both the quests and I immediately go and vendor everything I have and pick up the short staff there at the weapons vendor. We'll be using a two-handed staff the entire way from now on. We pick up Rockbiter from the Shaman Trainer for another 10 copper. If you find yourself a little short on money here for whatever reason, go back out and try to kill a couple more mobs, get something to vendor until you can afford those. Right now we have our staff, which is incredibly strong compared with other Shaman abilities like Earthshock later. Being able to front load damage like an Earthshock and a big two-handed swing will take usually well over half of a mob's life off in the early stages of the game. At this point we're still spamming Lightning Bolt and then using staff while we regen mana. We won't have Earthshock until level 4. But go ahead and just start collecting the cougar pelts. If these cougars here are camped, just start heading along the mountain range to the west. There's way more over that way as well. What we want to do is we want to get all 10 cougar pelts and we want to be at least 900 experience in to level 3. This quest right here gives 250 experience as well as the cougar turn-in back in town. So as long as we're 900 experience into level 3, we'll ding 4 off of these two quests. This is where Shaman really hits their spike. Go ahead and pick up every single quest in town again. In general, I'm just going to have people pick up every quest on all my guides. We'll be doing almost all the quests, and even the ones we don't do, there's situations where they can be a good option. So just go ahead and pick up every single one. Vendor all your items, get enough money to buy Earthshock, and here's a very basic Earthshock macro that will just start your attack automatically after casting Earthshock so you don't have to right-click on a mob. At this point, we're absolutely just chunking mobs. Everywhere we go, we can pull a mob over to the next mob while spamming Earthshock and running around slapping it with the two-handed staff. Not only are Shamans incredibly strong at tagging mobs when there's competition, they can pull them before other people, but they can maintain almost 100% mobility while doing their damage by running along in between staff swings and just spamming Earthshock. You'll see during this entire time, I only sit down to drink and eat like once or twice prior to level 6, so they have almost complete uptime and higher DPS than just about any class at this point in the game. Up in here, we'll just be doing the basic quests of picking up the 12 belts. We got all our battle boar, flanks, and snouts already, but we can finish that in here as well if we didn't pick those up earlier. We're looking for the Shaman class quest where we kill the caster quillboars in here. That's pretty easy. Sharp Tusk has a really fast respawn on the classic beta, so don't worry about rushing to him. He generally comes back up within a minute, and so you can group for this named mob in there if you want to, if other people are around. He's really easy, but even if you don't get the tag, just go ahead and keep killing mobs around here and he'll be respawned in a minute. Once we're just about done with all the quests in here, and we have, you know, enough belts, we're gonna want to start heading up the path to the east. Once we get up this path here, there's a little cave at the end of it, and it's got a named mob in there called the Squealer. He drops a belt that's slightly better than the belt we're using right now. Most importantly, the reason we come up here is the note on the ground just to the right of me. You can pick that up off the ground, and once you click it in your inventory, it will spawn an extra quest, which you can turn in back at town. So I'll go ahead and pick that up, and then I'll use the stuck command to warp myself back to town and turn in everything I just did, get the staff upgrade, get all the upgrades that are appropriate for your class. And remember, even if they take away the ability to use stuck command to warp like this, you can just run into mobs and kill yourself, or run into the fire and kill yourself back down the hill, and it should only take another 30 seconds anyway. At this point, we should be just about level 6, and we're going to run off and do this last quest in the starting area, which is just the shaman-specific quest to get your Earth Totem here. That should give us level 6 if we don't have it already. You can see my speed here was 22 minutes. And when I did this at the very start of the launch on the stress test, even though there were hundreds of players in the zone, I was still able to get 1 to 6 and get out of the starting zone in like 24 minutes. And you can see a VOD of that on my Twitch, of seeing how this route worked perfectly fine even when there were tons of people around me. Just took a couple minutes more because of the higher competition on mobs. So one thing you may notice is that I didn't train any shaman skills at level 6. At this point, we're literally just farming money in order to get a vendor staff once we get to Bloodhoof Village. So right now I'm hanging on the mountains towards the northwest once I get out of the starter zone, and I'm just killing all of these mobs in my way as I go, just looting them, to sell for vendor trash. I don't have any quests right now. The ideal mob to fight right now are these wolves. You could actually fight about 5 of these wolves at one time as a shaman and be completely fine. All you have to do is drop the stone skin totem here, and these wolves, the wolves will hit you for about 1 damage a piece, 1 or 2 damage if you have stone skin down. So you can fight any number of them at once and be totally fine. The reason I go over to this camp right here is not only do these humanoids drop some linen, which I can sell, and some decent, gray or white items to sell, but there's also a chest here, which is up pretty much 100% of the time at this camp. So I'm clearing the humanoids around here. I'm going to loot this chest just to try to get items to vendor, and then I'm going to sell all the linen and stuff I get from these gnolls I'm killing right now in order to try to get to 5 silver so I can buy the vendor staff upgrade. The melee damage is a big part of Shaman's leveling speed, so you want to get weapon upgrades whenever possible. In fact, you'll see us do some really crazy stuff later on from level 10 to 15 to get weapon upgrades. But for now, it's pretty simple stuff like just buying weapons from the vendor. Alright, I grind my way down to Bloodhoof Village, just killing mobs on the way. Once I have about 5 silver worth of gold or worth of money and or stuff to vendor, then I go to town. I collect every quest here in Bloodhoof, every single one, even though we probably won't finish all of them. And then we'll go in here to the weapon vendor in the big tent. I'll sell off all my stuff, sell off the weapon I was using, whatever I need to do to buy this walking stick, which is 5 silver and 4 copper. That's the absolute highest priority. The first thing you want to do is just get enough money to get this weapon upgrade. So now we're doing the same thing we were doing before, only we're hitting much harder, and now we're killing mobs for quests. The first quest you want to do is the poison water, where you collect the wolf and the planestrider pieces. You just run around trying to prioritize these mobs, kill some swoops if they're in your way also. If this area is crowded, just south of Bloodhoof Village, there's a ton of these mobs up to the north, where I was farming by the gnoll camp earlier. It's pretty easy to get this quest done. They have kind of a low drop rate, but you just run around killing whichever ones you see, kill whatever mobs are in your way, and you'll start collecting these items. While I'm out and about, I also keep an eye out for the patrolling NPC to the east of town. He has a quest over here that I'm going to look for if I see him patrolling the road, and then once I get that quest from him, I'm pretty much going to do that right away. We're still continuing to kill these wolves. Notice I'm dropping the stone skin totem when I'm fighting multiple enemies, and they hit me for barely any damage whatsoever. At this point, I'm still looking for the NPC. He does do a pretty good patrol up and down this road. And now we've just run into him. We're going to pick up this quest from him, and then you'll notice that I'm almost done with poison water right now, but not quite. So I'm going to continue to kill mobs for that while running up to the burned caravan. This is just slightly north of where we were before. We're going to kill the mobs around here until we can loot a chest at this area, which gives about 550 experience or so. And all you have to do is loot this chest and then run right back to that NPC. It's the easiest thing in the world. You just kill mobs as you go, and it gives you over 1,000 experience for doing all of that. There we go, easy loot. We just run back down south, turn it in at this guy, continue to kill whatever wolves, planestrider, swoops are in the area around you as you do this entire traveling. And you'll see that we're already pretty close to level 8, just because we've been non-stop killing mobs with our high mobility, auto attacks, earth shock spamming, just running from mob to mob. You'll notice that I turned in the poison water quest, which gives the follow-up to go over to this well here. At the same time, we're going to be picking up these stones off the ground for a different quest. You just need to pick up some amber cones and some well stones, and we'll be turning both of these quests in at the same time. Once we use the totem here, and then we have a really quick level 8 going on. That's all you have to do, is you just have to do a small handful of quests I just said. A lot of people, they try to do the null quest right away at level 6 or 7. That's actually a quest that I advise you skip. It's faster to get to level 8 if you do the quests I just showed you right now, and you focus on just killing every mob in your path, because Shaman kill speed is so high right now at the early levels. So you see we've already dinged to level 8, 51 minutes in. I'm going to show you guys the add-ons I'm using here real fast. Leatrix Plus is the automatic quest acceptor. The vendor price shows me how much stuff in my bags is worth. Questy, I mean, that's self-explanatory. And so right now we're going to go all the way level 8 to 10 in one run. So I'm going to show you this on the map just so you guys have a good visual of what we're about to do. The first place we're going to go is to the Dwarven Digging. We're going to kill those dwarves for the picks. Then we're going to go up to the Wind Fury, then the Rite of Vision. Then we're going to grind our way all the way across this open plain. 4, 5, and 6 are all collection quests from beasts. And then we're going to finish those last 2 quests in the northeast, which are just to kill a small handful of Quillboars and to turn in something to an NPC. So we're actually going to be completing about 8 quests right now. It's possible that you completed some of these quests already, the collection ones from animals. If so, you know, don't worry about it. Just focus on the other ones. You generally want to kill any of these wolves and cougars you see, and also kill any swoops you see if you still need the swoop quills. But we are going to be, for the most part, going along that path we saw earlier. So first off here, we're going up to the dwarves. And you'll notice that as I get up here, there's actually quite a lot of competition for the dwarves right now. The thing is, I constructed this 1 to 10 path to make it so you should be able to skip a couple quests and be totally fine, still hit level 10 with my path. You'll notice that when I do get level 10 at the end, I have another entire quest to turn in, which gives me way more experience than I even needed to 10. So at this point in time, I consider skipping this quest because there's a lot of other people doing it. But I decided to give it one more chance. Once we're out of mobs here in the dwarf area, I'll just head right next door to the Harpy area, and I start doing the quest there at the Harpy lands instead. And then I decide to, after I kill some mobs here, remember we still need the drops from all these wolves and cougars, I start picking up some of the harpies, and then after a few minutes I decide to go back and check on the dwarf area and see if it's cleared out a little bit. It does end up being a little bit more open once I go back there. The decision to go back is definitely one you could decide for yourself. It's totally fine to just skip that dwarf quest if it's in the state it was in, where there was a bunch of people around there. And I would still hit level 10 pretty much the same time if I had skipped that quest. But instead, I grind some harpies, get some of this quest done, and then double back to the dwarf area. Apparently I killed a lot of harpies. I thought I had just killed a few, but looks like I'm going through quite a few. So I give it a few minutes to respawn. There's still not that many mobs up here, but there's just enough that I'm able to come up here, you know, get 4 or 5 more tags, and thanks to Earthshock, just pulling mobs away from people that are close to them, and I'm able to finish the quest. Don't worry too much if you have to skip that one, or you have to skip any one of these quests. Say you get really bad RNG on the animal drops, or a place is overcrowded. You should hit 10 following this path even if you have to skip a quest. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we're killing harpies right now to get their claws. There is a chest in the very back there by the trees. You'll want to pick that up while you're in the area. We finish the claws, and then we go slightly north to this cave up here, where we just turn in a quest for free experience. After you turn in this quest, remember to destroy the vision water in your inventory, as it doesn't actually serve any purpose after that, but it stays in your inventory. And like you saw now, we're just going to be grinding our way all across these huge plains, and we're going to be finishing all of the collection quests that we haven't finished yet. We're getting cougar claws, we're getting like the femurs, everything for all of those many quests in Mulgore that require various animal parts. We're doing this all right now as we just slowly head towards the northeast of the zone. You'll pretty much want to just continue killing everything in your path, especially the mobs you need. But even if you do finish this quest and you find yourself, full health and mana, just go ahead and keep killing mobs as you go. You don't want to just be running past them and not getting experience. As you can see, we're almost done with the collection quests right now. We just need like a couple more cougar drops. We need like one more swoop. And we're a little bit into level 9 right now, but that's actually kind of deceptive because we finished so many quests that we're actually just about ready to hit level 10. As soon as we get to the northeast part and we start doing the Quillbore quests, we'll be ready to Hearth and hit level 10 like immediately after that. So continuing to grind our way towards the northeast, we're almost there. I do want to mention quickly the quest I had you skip earlier, the Knoll quest. There are situations where that quest is fine. In general, I find it just takes too long for the amount of experience it gives, but you do get a really good quest reward that vendors for 3 silver. It's just some ammo that vendors for 3 silver. So if you find yourself hard up on money, you need it for, extra bags, a weapon, some skills, etc. You can do that quest, especially if you group for it, it's not that long, in order to just get some money out of it. In this case, I end up skipping it. I just do these other ones, and I also skip a lot of Shaman class skills. There's a lot of stuff I would have loved to train, like Stoneclaw, Earthbind, Earthshock rank 2, but I didn't have the money to do so. However, it's still fine. You'll see we're making great time. I don't have all of those class skills, but I'm still grinding this stuff perfectly fine. The reason being is I chose to prioritize buying a better weapon from the vendor over getting those class skill upgrades. I did get some upgrades, but just not all of them. And the weapon is just a bigger deal, so you're going to want to prioritize that over a lot of the class skills. Here we are pretty much almost done with the entire route here. We're just killing 8 Quillbores. We turn in a quest to this dude over here, which leads to one in Thunderbluff. We go back in and we turn in the Quillbore quest where we got it, which is pretty close to where we're at right now. If you set your Hearth to Bloodhoof, which you definitely should have, I may have forgotten to mention that earlier, but set your Hearth to Bloodhoof as soon as you get there. You can just go ahead and turn this in, Hearth right back. You'll notice that I didn't use any death warping in this video once I got my Shaman class buff. You get an hour-long buff after completing the level 6 Shaman quest that gives you additional stamina and armor, so that's been helping me this entire time, and I've wanted to keep that on, so I haven't done any death warping. We Hearth back to town, turn in all these quests. You'll see that at this point we actually have a lot of money, so now that we've hit 10, I think it's most important to just hit 10 as quick as possible, get out ahead of the crowd. But now that we are 10, we've got a lot of money, so now we can start picking up all those Shaman skills we missed. We can start picking up more bags, etc. You'll notice I'm 10 right now, and I still have another quest to turn in. So even though it only took us 82 minutes here on the stress test to go 1 to 10, I'm actually like a ways into level 10. I overshot the mark just to make sure that if I needed to, I could have skipped some quests on the way and been totally fine. So now the first thing we do at level 10, I'll give you a little bit of sneak preview, is we're going directly into the Barrens, and we're going to do 2 level 15 quests right away, and they're very easy to solo, even at level 10. When we get to part 2 of this video, I'll show you how to do those very quickly. They give insanely good rewards that will help you have a great 10 to 15 time. We'll be doing those level 15s Barrens quests, and we'll be coming back to Mulgore and doing 10 to 12 here. So I'll see you next time for that video. I do have some interesting links in the description. You can see the run I showed you here was after the stress test had been up a couple days, because unfortunately I did try to stream the initial stress test launch, and I did get level 6 in about 24 minutes. I was way ahead of anybody else on my stress test server, but then Blizzard deleted my stress test server, so I lost my character. However, my girlfriend was doing the exact same Shaman route because we wanted to test it under stress test conditions, and she was able to actually win a leveling contest that Tips Out put on, where she won $100 by being the first person to hit level 15 on the stress test, and she was using the same Shaman route I'm showing you here. And you can also find a link down in the description to her Twitch and the VOD of her being the first level 15 using the Shaman route. So as you can see, it survived the trial by fire, and I think this route really proved that even with stress test conditions or launch conditions, it's perfectly able to get you to level 10 in well under an hour and a half.